Roosevelt Union Free School District, Roosevelt High School. We're hosting our Family and Community Engagement Summit under the My Brother's Keeper initiative, President Obama's initiative before he left office. We're so proud to have with us today Mr. Herman Barron III, Mr. Sergio Argueta, and Mr. Patrick Oliver. Just want to ask a few questions, guys, before we break for lunch. Just to think about the event today, the Family and Community Engagement Summit, the educational crisis facing young men today. If you had some advice that you wanted to give to a young brother to talk about kind of something that you would want to do different if you could go back in time, what would that be?
If there was one thing I would want to be different, I would do it myself, would be more engaged. Like I found like some of the youth, especially this panel today, they were so more engaged in their education. I just really passed through education because I really didn't have teachers in my life that really took a liking to my education. Okay. So they was basically at that time just passing us through. And the fact that you got teachers and organizations and programs like this today that encouraging education, I mean, it makes it that much easier for you to be successful in life and really live your dreams.
I truthfully enjoyed the panel, being able to hear our young people articulate the fact that they are goal-oriented, right? And so when I think about the past, it wasn't that I wasn't goal-oriented, I just didn't have the discipline and the strength that these young people have, right? And so when I think about just the state of affairs as it comes to black and brown men and black and brown boys, I troop my hats off to the Roosevelt School District for bringing this panel and this discussion and really making it where it's representative of the community, right? African American and Latinos, black and brown, to talk about these different issues, because ultimately the only way we move forward is collectively. The idea that one group is going to sort of be able to overcome certain things while the other one doesn't, it doesn't happen when we're all in the same community going through the same struggles. So just having that knowledge that there's unity and community in terms of moving forward, that's really what I would really highlight.
Okay, Mr. Oliver.
Just the theme of today, family and community engagement. You can't address issues facing young people if we don't engage the community, engage the family. I think that's so important. So just to have that overall theme today really, says a lot. How we communicate with each other in our communities, boys of color, recognizing there are certain struggles that are similar in a number of ways, struggles that can negatively impact them, and to have conversations with them about that, like we did today, and hear it directly from them, and just sitting there next to them. For a minute there, I forgot I was a moderator because I was just getting so much, from them, and just enjoying what they were saying, and just thinking about how do I go back now and work with the young people that I work with. So that was very engaging. So it helped me understand that, hey, how important mentorship is to young people, how they do listen. They may not seem to be listening, but they're hearing it slowly but surely. They're accumulating this information to ask questions that's going to help them maturate through life.
Right. I know, Sergio, when you did our keynote speech today, and great job today on your keynote, you talked about the state of violence, the state of our country today. We're in a post-Trump era. And black and brown people are seen negatively in the media. So when you think about the state of our country now, what do we need to do as a collective people to counteract what's being seen in the country today?
I think today is an example of the love we need to sort of exhibit towards each other and our communities and our young people and our schools, right? Like hate can't drive out hate. So unfortunately, before we start sort of thinking about what we're going to do for the whole nation as a whole, we really need to think about what we're going to do for each other. And my life experience has been that through peace and sort of that inner work of self-help and healing and love, we'll get to a place where we could actually overcome these odds. I tell people, listen, my people, like particularly Latino young immigrants, they're young warriors, right? Like you can't do it. Like there's nothing that you can inflict on us as a people that you haven't already tried. You tried stripping us of our history, of our humanity, of our integrity, and we're resilient beyond that. So any war you declare on us, we'll be able to survive. But the most important thing, I think, is that within that community, it's important that we heal and that we sort of work with each other in terms of loving ourselves. And one of the things that I'm saying is, no one can love us the way we need to love us, right? And so we got to get back to that and work through that. And there's been a lot of hurt in our communities for good reason. There's been a lot of pain and anger that comes along with pain, right? That anger, that hostility that comes with the pain that's been inflicted on us. But I'm convinced that we're resilient people, and collectively we will overcome this through our own love and healing.
All right. Anyone else want to respond to that?
Today was something special maybe because it says, African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. And what you've done is created an individual, a pocket of a village where you're able to give these children what they need collectively to make it to the next level, and to find that kind of love that they might not be getting at home. So instead of trying to find it in the streets, they're finding it in my brother's keeper and his boys and men move. We just need more pockets of this, It's not just can't be just in Roosevelt. You need it in the Hempstead, you need it in the Union, you need it in the Brooklyn. And the fact that, it's just people not gravitate on starting an initiative to actually make it happen. It's just sad because we're losing children. I'm in the schools in Brooklyn, and I want to cry before I leave the school sometime because it's so depressing. It's so depressing. The fact that, these kids have no goals, no future, and they can't see past the grade they're in at the moment.
Yeah.
And what they do see is death or prison.
Wow. Brother Oliver?
We most certainly live in a very racist, white male patriarchal, white supremacist ideology that this president is now promoting around the world. Like Brother Sergio said, resilience is the answer, because we're going to see it. White males have always engaged in that world dominance, and they're trying to continue to engage in it. But we have to just prepare our young people like we're preparing today to be resilient, to recognize and understand what mentorship means. Those that love them, identify those individuals, and then once you identify those individuals, listen to them patiently and get what you need to survive. Because unfortunately, we may have to deal with 4 more years of the Trumpism, 45, I should say. But it's going to be a challenge, huge challenge. So our job and what you're doing today is very important to young people, that they're surrounded by people that love them, but the brother said that they're in a village, and that village is providing them information they need to move forward.
Yeah. And we're going to close out, but I just want to close out with one last thing for you guys to kind of share with us. You talked about, the pockets and having these pockets and seeing that we don't have enough. So what advice would you give our viewers for us to kind of mobilize those pockets and what we need to do in our own community to deal with that self-love and self-preservation and helping us heal collectively and working together? What advice do you have for us to kind of keep this movement going?
I feel we have to interact in our community districts, our meetings. We just have to stop being passive and letting people dictate what they want to give us in our communities. We have to take take charge of our communities, and by doing that, it's showing up to them meetings and demanding that the people that you're electing to represent you are doing the things that you need them to do. It just can't be, well, I'm not going to be involved because my voice doesn't count. Your voice does count, and once you understand that how powerful you are as a voice and collectively as a voice, things will begin to change.
I think that one of the things we need to do is be a little so it's twofold, and it's almost like, well, pick a side, which are you on, right? I think we need to be a little bit more critical and demand accountability for the individuals that are in positions of power, particularly when they head various institutions and they haven't accomplished much for anyone but themselves, right? So taking advantage and the pillaging, being a part of the pillaging of a community's future. There's a number of individuals responsible of that have failed to step up, and these individuals hold titles And as a result of them being the ones that hold titles, no one speaks out against that. But know that history will judge you, and you will be accountable, whether it's here or somewhere else.
Right.
But I hope it's here as well, right? The second part is acknowledging the greatness within, right? And the fact that the collective strength is unstoppable, right? So, the way we critique, we need to celebrate our greatness a little bit more. So instead of looking about, how little the turnout to an event was, acknowledging the fact that the individuals that came were impacted, right?
Yeah.
It's saying, where do we find value in one another? Because being able to meet you, and even if it was just a handshake and the exchange of a card, or hearing you moderate, now lets me know that I know 2 more brothers that I didn't know earlier this morning that could be of assistance in my struggle, and I could be of assistance in theirs. So that, taking advantage of what little bit we do have. My mother has a story, and she says, we were poor when we were in El Salvador, and she says, if I had coffee but I didn't have milk and sugar, and I didn't have sweet bread, yo no tenía pan dulce, no tenía quesadilla, right? Like, what she would say is that if I had the coffee and my neighbor had the milk and the sugar, and another neighbor had, now we all come together.
Yeah.
Well, damn, you got café con leche and pan dulce,
Right.
and you don't need anything else in life anyways, right? But it's that camaraderie, it's that saying, we complement each other instead of taking away from one another. And it requires you to not be egotistical, right? To focus on reciprocity, on mutuality, and the word respect. So you stay in your lane. Doc, you a doctor, right? Education is your field. I work with gang-involved youth. This brother works with previously incarcerated men. This brother works in the field of education. So now you bring us all together. Man, listen, we will change our communities, and we have that. We just got to continue to build.
Brother Oliver?
I'm big on literacy and lately vision. Talking about the importance of vision and planning. The literacy part, we got to make sure all our young people understand. Literacy is just not reading books. It's about being able to communicate. What do you want? You have to tell people what you want verbally, on paper, digitally, when you use social media to do it. We want our young people to be able to tell the world what you want, because it's so important, because opportunities will come their way. So we have to make sure they're able to share what opportunities they are looking for. Like these young men talked about earlier on the panel, they sought out what opportunity they were looking for, and they asked for it. So we got to make sure our young people can communicate their needs and opportunities, and get them to understand vision. The board member mentioned the fact she's going to include young people in the future of the district. If young people see that, hey, I'm part of the vision of the future of this community, I want to be part of it then. But if you're not sharing with them that they're part of an important asset to the vision, I tell politicians all the time, make your community literate so you can share with the world you have a literate community. So now you got a very functional and literate community. Young people can go look for jobs, or companies can come to your community. People can come recruit, whether they come from colleges, whether they come from the military, whatever. We want to see our young people engaged and involved in having a vision and a plan for the future. So again, those 2 things, for me are essential. Literacy from just a standpoint of being able to communicate what it is that you want in life. Because there are opportunities out there, and we want young people to be able to say, hey, here's what I want. And from a planning standpoint, okay, here's what I want, how do I get there? And most certainly understand that there are individuals out here who can help me get that.
Absolutely. I want to thank you, brothers, for sharing with us today. Once again, we're coming to you live and in living color from Roosevelt High School here in Roosevelt, New York, at our Family and Community Engagement Summit, the educational crisis facing young men of color. We have an event scheduled for June 2nd, a job fair. We're going to have MTA on site. We're going to have the Long Island Railroad on site. Please come out and join us if you're looking for a job. Even if you're not looking for a job, you know someone looking for a job, come out and join us for the job fair. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Great discussion.